Hey, Get Geekdom. This is Jose from the Get Geek podcast. Thanks for joining us this week on our cast. Before we start, I want to mention, and we forgot to include in this week's podcast, that we will be doing another giveaway to celebrate 100 followers on Instagram. We'll have some details on the Instagram page as well, but just to give you an idea, we'll be giving away an Iron Man PX Preview I Am Iron Man Funko Pop, which is metallic and glows in the dark. It is Iron Man from the final scene in Avengers Endgame. It is a limited Funko Pop. So we're going to be doing that giveaway. If you want to join the giveaway, again, details will be in our Instagram post. But we want you to like the post, follow us on Instagram, and tag 3 of your friends. We'll be selecting and announcing a winner on Monday, June 22nd, both on the podcast and on our Instagram page. So join up, guys. You can win some really sweet Funko Pop gear. Stay geeky, my friends. Hello, Internet. Welcome to another episode of the Get Geek podcast. This week, we're going to be discussing a little bit about the reveal of the PlayStation 5 and some information about this Xbox Series X that came out a couple of weeks ago in their reveal. But first, let's do introductions. I'm Jose.
This is Wolfie.
AJ.
Eli.
And this is Walt.
Okay, and before we begin, as usual in the past few weeks, we have a couple of disclaimers. We are recording remotely, so if there are any sound artifacts or any sound issues that you hear in the podcast, please bear with us. Please understand that we're doing the best that we can to iron out all of these sound issues. And we thank you for taking the time to listen to the podcast in spite of any difficulty that we might have or any issues you might have with the sound. We're working on it. We think it's going to be better every single week. But again, just excuse us for that at this moment. Another reminder, as always, the best way to support our podcast is to like, rate, share, and subscribe to our podcast, I should say. You can look us up on all of your favorite podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever your favorite podcasts are sold. So please support us if you really like the content that we put out by, again, liking, rating, sharing, and subscribing our content. That's the best way for us to get some exposure and expand the geek community that we're trying to build here. All right, so let's get right into some details on these two systems. First off, I just want to explain a little bit of the basic specs of these two consoles. And this is from IGN.com. So in the green corner, we have Xbox Series X and its CPUs. In the blue corner, we have the PlayStation 5. So for quick comparisons, again, this is from IGN.com. The CPU is 8 times Zen 2 core at 3.8 gigahertz for the Xbox Series X. For the PlayStation 5, it's a slightly slower 8 times Zen 2 core at 3.5 gigahertz. In terms of overall GPU power, the Xbox Series X can pump out about 12 teraflops of power compared to the PlayStation 5 at about 10.28. That's a good gauge of overall performance, but it's not the only statistic that should be looked at. In terms of memory, they're both basically the same. Both systems in the green and the blue corners have 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory. In terms of memory bandwidth, the Xbox Series X pulls in 10 gigabytes at 560 gigabytes a second, or 6 gigabytes at 336 gigabytes a second. The PlayStation 5, again, a little bit slower at 448 gigabytes per second. The optical drives on both systems are 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray drives. Of course, they'll both have digital content delivery as well as the previous generations did have. For the internal storage, the Xbox Series X has a slightly larger 1 terabyte custom NVMe solid state drive. The PlayStation 5 has a custom 825 gigabyte solid state drive that, by all intents, currently is one of the fastest solid state drives on the market right now, according to some of the performance specs. And in terms of expandable storage, the Xbox Series X will have a slot for a 1 terabyte expansion card, and the PlayStation 5 has an NVMe SSD slot. They will both allow for USB storage, but that will mostly be for games from the previous generations. All right, so that's just a little bit of a rundown of the basic specs of these two consoles. So let's talk some features that we're excited about. I'll just jump on one that for me is one of the most exciting features, and then I'll open it up to you guys to let me know what you guys think are the coolest, most interesting features for these two systems. Um, my absolute favorite feature on the Xbox Series X, besides some of the other more game related abilities, is that it allows you backwards compatibility with almost every game from every previous generation of Xbox systems. So on the Xbox Series X, you should be able to play almost every Xbox One, Xbox 360, and original Xbox game, which is amazing because I'm going to visit some used video game stores and probably get who knows how many old Xbox generation games. So for me, that's really, really, really exciting. In comparison, from what we've heard so far, just to kind of delineate between the two systems, the PlayStation 5 is only confirmed to have, at the moment, limited backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 4 and with no other previous generation. So you won't be able to play PS3, PS2, or PS1 games on the PlayStation 5, unfortunately. For me, that's the big feature that I really, really like. What have you guys seen that's been really stand out to you?
Me personally, I'm like the feature that I'm most excited about is Xbox's smart delivery system.
Hmm.
So it basically relates to um, like video game ownership and when you buy it and so on and so forth for the games that can take advantage of the smart delivery feature. Basically, whatever game you bought on whichever Xbox platform that you have it on the Series X, you'll be able to play the game without having to rebuy it, and it'll automatically be um, updated essentially to take on to be its best version of itself essentially. So right now, Microsoft has committed to all first party games from Microsoft and some supporting third party developers. And basically, any game that they have made for Xbox One or even 360 that can take advantage of it, the graphics, the landscape, the shadows, everything will be much better rendered, as well as any upgrades that will come out in the future for the game. And the
Hmm.
reason this is important is because, for example, any of the games that have come out this year or last year for the Xbox One, some people might even wait to buy the Series X, so that they can play the game then and not buy the game now,
Hmm.
but you can buy the game now, such as Cyberpunk, who has committed to being part of the smart delivery system. So if you buy Cyberpunk right now for the Xbox One, when the Series X comes out, you'll be able to just transfer it over to the Series X. It'll be able to take advantage of the power of the Series X and be fully updated as far as the graphics, the rendering, and the so on and so forth without having to buy the game all over again for the Series X. And I think that that's a pretty cool feature, especially for certain games that I haven't finished on the Xbox One. I might actually just kind of keep trudging along, and then when the Series X comes out, transfer them over and play them on the Series X instead. So that's the one I'm most excited about.
Right, and
It is a cool feature, because it's kind of similar to Apple's ecosystem.
mhm,
If you buy an iOS game on
How,
like the iPhone,
I
you can
have
go
no
ahead
idea how
and,
the ecosystem works.
okay,
mhm,
well, it's almost exactly the same because what it is that they've made apps universal, and it's kind of like what Microsoft is doing with the games. So if you buy something on an iPhone and
Cool.
there's another version of the app on the iPad, you don't have to pay for that iPad version because once you've bought the iPhone version, it automatically translates over to the iPad. So it's very
mhm.
similar to like the mobile way of doing things. I guess in
Hmm.
this case,
Hmm.
if you buy a game for the Xbox One, you know, assuming that they have that feature, it automatically translates over to the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, right.
So,
Right.
The developers of each individual game do have to support that, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
right.
It's not just an
Yeah.
automatic thing, right? Because I know
And
that
it's similar
Madden
to the way they do it in
is one of
Apple
the games.
also, you know.
Hmm. Oh, Apple has to support it as well, right? Okay,
Right.
I
It's
hope that it's
the
something that
developers have to do it universal.
okay, okay,
I
okay.
hope that this is something that like is supposed to be in line with the compatibility because even the Xbox One, while like it didn't have direct compatibility with all 360 games, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, the libraries had to be updated in
Hmm.
order for the Xbox One to play 360 games and even the older
Hmm.
Xbox games. Whereas the Series X out the box at launch is going to play all Xbox games, right?
Yeah,
I
I believe the
wonder.
way that they accomplish it, just to really quickly, and you
Mhm,
guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe somebody can look this up to confirm. But I believe that what they actually did was they put the architecture for the old systems in the new system. So some of the CPUs from the old systems, in order to
mhm.
ensure that backwards compatibility, because that's really the only way you can do it, unless you individually create emulation for each game. Again, that's as
That's
far as
actually
I
really
understand
cool.
it. Right, right. And that's what they did with
Well,
some of the
my
other
hope is that
systems in the past.
right.
Mhm.
My hope is that what they're going to try to do is essentially give life to a lot of these older games that it's always fun to play to replay some games that you love, but
Hmm.
sometimes it's not as exciting to play them when graphics and things like that can be outdated.
Hmm.
And my hope is that like this whole smart delivery system is meant to eventually give life to some of these other games, where developers that still exist and still support the game can kind of uh, reintroduce it through a smart delivery system, and it won't just be an emulated game, or rather just a pop in the disc and play this game all over again in the Series X. It'll be updated, without it having to be a remastered edition that they release. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
there's definitely, actually, I have good news for you there. I think again that developers actually have to go in and do a little
Yeah, they
tweaking
do.
for old games.
Hmm.
However, what I do know is that because the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, give credit where credit is due, they support the modern technology of ray tracing, which is basically a way to create very natural light in video games. And up until now, video game systems didn't really have the power to pull it off. But a lot of old games, they can easily switch on ray tracing. And a good example is if you actually look up Minecraft, there's a video of Minecraft for Xbox Series X where they turn on ray tracing and
Yeah,
it
that's
looks
amazing.
amazing. It looks
Yeah,
amazing.
it
Like
Oh,
does.
really?
Yeah.
there's these beautiful colors on the walls, and like I mean, you've seen how beautiful ray tracing can look in some of these games. So they add some of that really fantastic lighting, and it makes some old games look like they've been updated a generation. Again, I think it
But
has to be activated, but it's easy because there's hardware in both of these systems that supports it.
hey, Jose, though, and just an aside, but don't you think
Hmm.
it's interesting they chose Minecraft to use that? Because Minecraft traditionally is known for really low res, blocky
Hmm.
graphics. So
Hmm.
the difference is going to be really stark, right?
Yeah, I
It's
think
not like
that's
they
why they did
chose
it.
yeah, so
Hmm.
that's probably the reason why they did it. But it's kind of false advertising in a sense if you think about it, because you're
Hmm.
taking something that's already low res to begin with, right?
Hmm.
And then you're
Hmm.
adding ray tracing, so of course it's going to look amazing, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
The difference is whether you do that to an actual game that's already known for its graphics, to see how the difference is between that game and the ray tracing. I'm still pretty sure it's going to look amazing,
Oh, it
but I
does.
think
It
it's an
does.
interesting choice that they chose Minecraft out of all the games out there to
There are other
show off ray
examples.
tracing.
That isn't
That's
the only
interesting.
example, though. I've seen a couple of other videos, and the differences aren't as stark, but there are other couple of other videos and tech demos and things like that where they show you the differences between some
Yeah.
old games with and without ray tracing. I think,
Hmm.
like you said, the reason that they chose Minecraft is because they wanted to illustrate how this blocky, low resolution game that's not really known for its graphics can look amazing just by
Exactly.
adding the feature of ray tracing. I agree. And, like I said, though, there are definitely other examples of older generation Xbox games that they've added ray tracing to.
No
So
doubt.
there's examples of that as
Interesting.
well. Hmm.
So I'm gonna so let me ask you this question. We're talking about the thing that we're most excited between both consoles, right?
Right,
Hmm.
right.
Okay, because it's interesting. The first two have been about the Xbox,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And I'm going to share mine. And guess what? It's about the Xbox too. And I think part of it is the reason is that this last event, the Future of Gaming event for the PS5,
Hmm.
all they did was introduce it, but they talked nothing about the actual console and the features itself,
Not a
right?
lot.
They
No
gave you
pricing.
mostly just
Nothing else.
specs. They haven't given you pricing. They haven't given you anything that differentiates. And I think that's the difference between the two systems at this point, because right now Sony seems to be focusing more on the hardware portion of the system, whereas Xbox, kind of like the same way that it's been with this last generation, they're more focusing on the services and the things that Microsoft can do with the Xbox, right?
Well,
That's
I
true.
actually think it's partially true. I think the thing is, though, that if you, so full disclosure, all of us own both systems of the last
Yes.
generation. We all own Xbox Ones and PlayStation 4s. So we have both systems. We're not playing favorites,
I
and
think
we'll
we all
probably
have
end up getting both, right?
we all have PS4 Pros too, right?
Yes, we all have
I
PS4
only have a
Pros.
regular PS4, and I have
Oh, dude,
just the very first series of the Xbox One. I literally have the
bro,
day
Mm,
one edition.
you
I
are
have the Xbox
slumming it,
One
bro. What's up with that?
original.
I mean, like
What happened?
I only recently came back to video gaming. Really, like
Hmm.
super hardcore video gaming. I've spent a lot
I
of
Same
get
time
it.
here.
Yeah, I
supporting the
get it.
systems, but
I get it.
I mean, yeah, you really need a 4K TV to make that stuff shine too. But I mean, regardless, it's not the most important thing to get the 4K systems. But I
True.
think actually, just to speak to your point, it's true that PlayStation 5 was kind of highlighting their hardware a little bit in terms of things where a couple of weeks ago they talked about how their solid state drive is really one of a kind. I mean, PCs will probably have solid state drives to that level in a few weeks or a few months. So it's not going to be
Yeah,
something that's going to last much longer. By the time the PlayStation 5 comes out, I believe that there'll be solid state drives that are going to blow it away.
no
But
doubt.
the thing of it is, if we all look at the previous console generation, the reason why the PlayStation 4 was so successful because they focused on one thing that I think the focus of this reveal was, which is the games.
games.
They're
Games,
Yeah,
not
I was
talking
gonna
about
exactly.
say.
anything else.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say it's the games.
and there are
Well,
definitely
anyway,
some really good looking ones. Go ahead.
let me get into this feature that I think is pretty cool. And again, it's focused on Microsoft and the Xbox, and that's that quick resume feature. I don't know if you
Oh
guys have heard
yeah,
about it.
yeah. It looks
Yes.
That's
good.
actually pretty cool. And again, I don't mean to compare it to mobile phones and things like that, but it's kind of the same thing because what it is you're having multiple apps at the same time running in the background, but it's in a suspended state.
Hmm.
My apologies. So the quick feature, what it does is that you can have multiple games open on the console at the same time,
Hmm. Hmm.
and like I said, it keeps it in that suspended state so that you could be playing one game and then you want to get out of that quickly and start another game. You don't have to reboot it and reload it. It's already there waiting for you. So I think in a way it's kind of good because think about it this way: if you want to play like multiplayer and stuff and you're waiting for everybody to show up,
Hmm.
you can kind of be playing another game, in the meantime while everybody kind of gets, ready and stuff like that. And then once somebody says, okay, we're ready to go, you jump out of that game, you're right into the other game and you're ready to
Hmm.
go at a moment's notice,
Yeah, I
That's
you know?
believe
that's
this.
really. I gotta
Go
say
ahead.
that's pretty interesting.
Mhm.
Because that's probably one of my biggest gripes with gaming lately. Is like, I'll switch between an RPG and Call of Duty essentially, but
Hmm.
I don't want to jump onto Call of Duty until I'm like ready to like leave the game or at least save it, get to a right save point or whatever. Because
Hmm.
sometimes I'll be playing an RPG or story mode, whatever it is, story game, and I'll get an invite from somebody to play Street Fighter or Call of Duty, and I'm like, yeah, give me 10, 15 minutes. But if I have that quick resume, I could just jump out, play a multiplayer game, and then when I'm done, I could just jump back into the game without worrying about like losing my place, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it
So
almost removes the need for saves in a way. I mean, I think it has
that's
just some dedicated architecture that saves the state of your other games, and
that's
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 how it's
that's
able to
that's
swap.
definitely a big one. I'm interested in knowing what the boys. Oh, I'm gonna call you guys the boys from now on, like from the TV show, the boys.
That's an awesome
Interested
show.
to know like what you guys are most excited about.
Yeah, what's go ahead, guys.
Well, me, I'm relatively simple. The
Hmm.
more storage, the better.
Hmm.
And
Oh
then,
God, yeah.
Storage is a problem.
yeah,
Especially if you play Call of Duty.
Yeah,
and
wasn't the last one like an insane install?
Plus
It's just
100 gigs, more than 100 gigs. I think only
with
Red Dead
Call of Duty,
Redemption 2 was bigger. So that there's
yeah.
a big gap in storage. Not a big gap in storage, but a big
oh,
enough gap in
it's
storage.
so annoying. It's so annoying to like, hey, I haven't played Call of Duty in 3 days. Let me go pop it on. Oh, here's a 60 gig download. Oh, make some space because you need an extra 100 just for the 60 gig download. So
Hmm.
annoying. But
I
yeah,
think when you consider also that you have 100 gigabyte plus games in this generation, can you imagine what the size of
oh,
some of these games in the next generation is going to be? You're going to have like a 250 gig game. You're going to have 4 games installed on your hard drive, and then you're going to have to delete something. I
Yeah.
feel like. I mean, we'll see where that goes, honestly. But that is actually going to be
But,
incredibly
but
important.
AJ,
Yeah.
do you know about like the cloud computing or like how they're going to be utilizing the cloud? Are they going to be utilizing the cloud for storage?
So I'm actually looking at this article here, and um, I'm not sure about the Xbox One X, but according to this article, PC Mag, there's gonna be a digital. It's gonna be digital only for the PS5. You're
No,
not
no, no.
really. What?
There's two of them. I think
Oh
There's an
yeah,
Eli
there's
was
option.
going
two.
to talk about that. You know,
Hmm.
They're going to
there's
have a digital only version as well
yeah,
as a disc and digital.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
Eli was going to actually talk about that a little bit also.
Well, hop
Oh,
right on, Eli.
Yeah.
okay.
Tell us about it.
Well, basically, PS5 is ditching the hard disk drive, so you don't have to place your like disk inside like the
Or the Blu-ray drive
well,
on
yeah,
one
the
of the
Yeah, the
4K
systems.
Blu-ray drives. Yeah.
Blu-ray
Yeah.
drive.
So they're making two consoles. They're making one that has the disc, and then one that's just digital.
Oh, I didn't honestly know that,
Yeah.
Hmm.
but
Yeah, but you know what? I
damn.
think that Eli might be right because I think that they're doing this as a just to move towards digital only. Like I think that they're releasing a disc version of the PS5 as alongside the digital version of it as well. But I would bet money that there will be a like 2-to-1 ratio where for every one PS5 that has the drive, there'll be two without it. You know, so that they can eventually phase out the PS5s with the drives. I guarantee you that's where they're going.
I
And
feel
I
like
think
that
it'd
might be
also
true.
be quite
Hmm.
beneficial if they did move to this digital only thing, because then you don't have to worry about the hard drive as much.
Right, but see, here's well, it's digital only, right? But you'd still then have to download all the games, and the games are gonna be way more massive than the games are now.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think that like I can see like let's say a year or 2 years down the line where there'll be like an expansion to the PS5 where it'll be like, hey, like here's the new solid state hard drive that attaches to the PS5. That'll have like 2 terabytes of solid state, because you're gonna need that hard drive space, um, unless
Well,
they have like that cloud service.
I
yeah,
believe both
there is a
systems
way
have
to get around that.
expansions, 1 terabyte expansion slots. But then that's
Y-
another hard drive you have to buy.
Yeah,
Right.
but there is kind of a way to get around that because as I have both the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One, and I've kind of gotten away from doing discs because it's just so convenient to just buy it from home and just download it and stuff, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But I am subscribed to that the PS gaming what's it's
PS
not
Now.
PS Now. What is it called?
Yeah, it's
Is it
PS Now.
PS
Yeah,
Now?
it's PlayStation Now.
The
Okay.
on-demand streaming kind where you
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
stream games. I was about to
Is it
make that same point. Go ahead.
right?
Go ahead.
Exactly. So the you in that one, the difference between that and the one that Xbox does, which is the game library, is Xbox you
The
have to
Game Pass,
download the
right?
games, right?
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
PS5 it gives you the option. You can either download the game or you can stream it, which is what a
Right,
lot
off
of
of
the
the
games
cloud
that I
service.
do. That's what I mostly do because I have a couple of games loaded on there, downloaded,
Hmm.
and my hard drive is like at its max. It just I can't have more than maybe like 5 or 6 games on there because,
Yeah,
like
you
you
have to
guys were
pick and
saying,
choose. Hmm.
the storage issues is a big deal, and I think mine is like almost a terabyte of storage on there. But yet, all these games are like 100, 200 gigs and stuff like that. So the best option for me is just to go onto the PS, whatever you call it, and
Hmm.
just stream the game. So maybe
There's
that's how they get around this issue with the digital only because if they don't have that, this thing is almost worthless. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
Right,
there's
but the issues with streaming is I think you don't get the max performance that you can get. Plus,
that's right. Hmm.
you'll have to deal with latency. When it comes to
Well,
certain games.
You can't stream those games in 4K.
Right.
they're all in
That's
1080p.
that's one of the biggest
Yeah,
issues.
that's true. But I mean,
I know it's not huge,
it's
but
yeah, it's not that big of an issue.
Well,
You know what I mean?
but the
And I
thing is, it
mean,
will be. It will be. You want to know why? Because we're talking about it's not that big of an issue right now with the games that we have right now, but we're talking about the life of the system. We're
and
talking
let's
about like
remember,
4 or 5 years down the line. Can we stream these games that are gonna obviously evolve from a performance standpoint, at a high rate 4 or 5 years down the line?
yeah,
I
let's
think
not
like
forget some games are going to be 8K too. They both support
yeah,
8K. So
yeah,
you don't
Yeah.
want to play in 1080p when you have an 8K capable
yeah,
system.
exactly.
And
But I
the other
think
thing I think Gabe
okay.
was kind of getting at this also. Like you're gonna need, and I know internet speeds are improving considerably, but I know, Walt, you probably had this problem too. PlayStation Now can be really inconsistent on streaming some of its games. I mean, the other day I was playing Control on PlayStation 4
Hmm.
and it was streaming quite well, but that's not always the case. It's really, really dependent on having a super fast and super steady connection, and really on nobody else doing anything else of any kind, like watching movies or playing games online and things like that. And I was playing a single player game. I haven't tried to play a multiplayer game in PlayStation Now. I feel like there would be a big difference in performance. And again, when you're considering that these games are probably going to be so much larger in size, that's going to make a big difference. But the other thing I would say is that to manage this, they do give you an option sort of with both systems. It's just a little bit tedious because again, both systems have their expansion slots, right? So that you can put your Series X or your PS5 games on the expansion slots. But you can get an external hard drive as well, a USB 3.0, 3.1, 3.2 hard drive, but you can't put your Series X or PS5 games on that and play them from that drive. You can store them on that drive. So you can get like a 6 terabyte expansion, like USB drive. You could put all your games on there when you're not playing them, but then you have to transfer them back to your
Really?
actual main console hard drive, which is a
Did
pain in the
they
butt.
announce that
Yes, yeah.
for those
For
things?
both systems, they did say that the main thing about those USB 3.0 and higher, or it's USB 3.2, the main thing for those USB 3.2 drives, especially with the Xbox Series X, is you can definitely store your previous generation console games on it. So you can put your Xbox One games, your Xbox 360 games, and they're playable from, whatever, a Western Digital hard drive, a Seagate hard drive, like any one you can buy at the store, like the one that you can buy on your computer. But
That's
again,
super disappointing, though.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
But I
So
understand
so
why, because you need the SSD for the performance on these new generation games.
Yeah, because I have the Xbox One, and I have almost all my games on an external drive, and that's how I
yeah, me
play it.
too.
I try
I
and
have a
keep.
flash drive on my Xbox
Yeah,
One with
that
like
is that is
256 gigs.
that's kind of a step backwards, if you ask me. You
Well,
know,
I
it's
see
like
why you need the SSD to get these games to perform like this. That's how you get like the really fast switching between games and all that. And PlayStation themselves, I don't think this is true, but they said you can't pull off these kinds of graphics and this kind of performance on a standard drive. It requires their custom SSD. I don't know how true that is, but I think it's at least partially true. You're not going to get
hmm,
great performance out of a 4K or an 8K game. And anybody who does PC gaming can tell you the same thing. You
Yeah,
need a good solid state drive to run your
yeah.
PC games at full detail and high resolution.
That's 100% true. If I didn't have a high quality SSD, I would not be able to run at 140 hertz on the screen. I would
Hmm.
not be able to, like the latency and all that. Like I wouldn't be like it's not just a GPU, right? Like GPU is the backbone, but you
Hmm.
still need all the support, especially coming from the hard drive, right? You can have the best GPU in the world, but if the hard drive can't keep up, you're just gonna have choppy everything. So,
Huge
um,
bottlenecks. Hmm.
yeah, exactly.
and
Yeah.
and and
Go ahead, Eli.
to add on to how like the
Hmm.
graphics have changed, on what Jose said,
Hmm.
um the VR graphics are going to be exponentially like increased of how far it can go. I
Hmm.
think or like it's going to be improved, in other words.
Well,
um
when they do announce the VR part, because that's
yeah.
the one thing that was missing from that presentation.
well, actually,
From both systems.
I did find like top 10 features, and that was actually on it, and they talked about it but very brief.
The
That's
PS5.
cool. So is the
Yeah, the
PS5 basically
PS5.
gonna have like a built-in PSVR, essentially, where you don't like maybe obviously you have to buy other peripherals, but it won't be like Like it'll essentially be like a peripheral attachment to the PS5 versus a whole separate console.
I don't know.
Oh,
That's a good
Yeah,
question.
I think this is the first PlayStation that's going to have the camera with the system itself, right?
I don't know. I actually don't think so. I would have to watch the presentation again. It's just a couple of days old, but I'm actually looking at one of those lists you're talking about, and Eli, and it's not what's in the system. It's top 9 features gamers expect. So it's what
Mm,
people
oh,
want. It's not what's necessarily on it. And everywhere that I look, if you look for VR, there's no specific mention. Now I think they're going to do it. I
yeah,
really do. But just like with PS4, like I don't think they're gonna highlight it because I think these systems understand, at least at first, they can't compete with PCs in terms of VR.
oh,
So
okay.
I mean, I don't know. You might be right, Eli, but I haven't seen that feature yet.
Yeah,
it'd totally cool to see it coming. I mean, Eli, is that something that you would definitely want to see in the PS5?
Um, yeah, yeah, definitely because I would just like to see it, especially since PS4 already has great graphics. Um, it's gonna be awesome, the graphics. So
I
What
really
not
about
want to
really
see it.
much to say.
what about the design of? Let's talk a little bit about the design
Ugh.
of the actual
No,
consoles.
no, no.
So,
hey, before
um,
you do, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm actually, you guys know that I've actually had some experience with the VR stuff. I did try
Oh
out the
yeah, that's
Oculus
right.
Quest, you
Oh,
know,
Mm-hmm.
and so one of the things that I've been wanting to do is actually get a VR system, right? So I've been
Mm-hmm.
flip flopping between the Oculus Quest and the PSVR because the Oculus does a fantastic job as a system, and it's a little bit more advanced than the PSVR. The PSVR, the motion tracking that it does is using the camera that's separate from the actual headset. Whereas I think the Oculus, it everything is done within the camera itself, right? So one of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I kind of stopped myself in terms of looking for a VR system because I was kind of hoping the PlayStation 5 would have that or they would have announced that. Now they did announce that it's going to have an HD stereo camera that's going to be with the system, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they've made no mention of the VR. Now, like you guys said, I think it's obvious that it's going to come, but I think in terms of announcing stuff, it would have been nice to have them at least mention the fact that there would be a VR component somewhere down the line because I'm kind of in limbo now. It's like, do I want to get the PlayStation VR for now just because I'm so desperate to try VR games?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I wait? But I don't have a sense that PlayStation 5 right now is kind of like, making that a priority. You know what I mean?
You know what? I'd say get the Oculus just because it's a completely separate system with its own games.
Mm-hmm.
You
The
know,
only
and then
thing is
like
that it's
it's
weak.
not.
It's not as powerful as some of these other rigs. And I think the PlayStation 5, if it does show the VR, it's gonna make the Oculus Quest something that it's gonna just be collecting dust because right now, as it is, the Oculus Quest is now as powerful enough to play some of the games that the PlayStation VR can, and that's now. So imagine when the VR comes out for PS5, it's gonna blow the Quest out of the. And mind you, I
But
can't
there's
find
one
the
detail.
Quest anywhere.
There's
I
one little
you know
detail. That's one
yeah
little detail. That's
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
if
and
the
the thing is,
PlayStation
I
5
can't
comes
find the
out.
Quest anywhere because it's sold out every single place unless I want to pay like 3 times the amount, which I
Mm-hmm.
refuse to do at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's if uh, the PlayStation 5 has VR anytime soon. Keep that in mind. I would
I
actually
would
wager that the Oculus Quest would drop in price when the new systems come out. Because I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee there's going to be
maybe.
people that are selling them that are going to be selling them to get the new system.
Yeah, I know. I just,
Anyway,
like I said,
design
I
wise,
just wish the announcement they had at least mentioned it. You know what I mean?
let's go around the room real quick, around the virtual room, and just I want to hear not thoughts or anything. Just pick one, which design you think is best, and let's
It's
see. I
just
just want,
ugly.
well, I just want to get a
Sorry,
general. Both of them are ugly to you?
Yes.
huh?
Both ugly.
The Xbox looks like it looks like a pillar. It looks like something out of
The
the
pillar of
final
autumn.
element. Yeah, exactly. No, you remember the movie? I think it's called the Final Element or the Last Element, whatever it was, with Bruce Willis.
The Fifth Element.
The Fifth Element. There you go.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there like boxy pillar type things that they had to press to open up? But that looks like the Xbox to me. And this PlayStation, that'll be part of our last segment. But I mean, what's the biggest meme surrounding this thing? It's the helmet for sell. You know what I mean?
We'll talk about the memes later. I just want you to pick one. Which one wins between the two? Design challenge. Just pick
Do I
one.
have to choose?
Pick one.
He requires it.
The thing about it,
Pick.
if I'm gonna
No, don't speak. Just pick.
Yeah, don't elaborate
Okay.
yet. We'll elaborate in a minute. Yeah.
Okay, so then I have to go Xbox Series X. There you go.
AJ, your call. Which one?
Can I really just say neither? Because
Nope, you gotta pick
Was
one.
that a choice?
You gotta pick one.
Choice?
No, that's not a
Lord,
choice. Pick
bro.
one.
And it can be if I will it.
No, it cannot be. You have to be. There can only be one.
Fine.
Master Wolfie demands your answer.
I'm gonna channel my inner.
There could be only one.
I'm gonna channel my inner Batman and say Xbox Series X because
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Eli?
This is an easy one because I just want to give my reasoning first. The PS5 looks
I said
my
just pick.
Just pick. We're gonna give our reasoning after this.
fan.
Reasoning afterwards.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Pick the one.
Okay,
No worries.
Xbox Series X.
Okay.
And Jose?
I am. Let me look at it again real quick. I know that's like a bit of a.
Oh
cop-out,
my
but
God.
It's really hard, man.
This is the hardest. Just pick.
I'm not going to give you any crazy analysis or anything like that. I'm just going to look at this photo again of them side by side real quick and tell you how I feel just in the moment, without any logic behind it, just pure emotion. So looking at the photo, I still have to go with the Series X as well. I do.
Same here, Series X.
Okay. Who wants to elaborate?
It's a clean sweep.
Well, see, here's the thing. I actually don't find. I think that like they're not being done justice. To be
Mhm.
honest with you, even though I prefer the Series X over the PS5, I think that they're
Mhm.
not being done justice because we're only seeing them just with a green or a white background. We're not seeing them in a living room setting. Now,
That's true.
the Xbox
That's
Series
true.
X, I can totally
Mhm.
see it like standing like a clean console behind electronic equipment, TVs, and other sound systems. They're almost always all black. So I think
Mhm.
it's going to be
Mhm.
seamless with entertainment systems.
Mhm.
And those of you like myself, like I'm going to probably put it by my computer desk, by my gaming PC. It looks like a gaming tower. I can see myself
It
putting that
does.
right next to the tower, and it's going to seamlessly live there.
See the problem. I'm sorry.
No, what was that?
Mhm.
See, the problem that I have kind of with both systems is that it looks like it's meant to be vertical.
Well, there's
They
a
can
reason
both be.
for that.
So
They can both be
no,
horizontal.
I totally get that. But you know what? I'm one of these people that have like a you know, eh, almost like an entertainment space, right? Where I have shelving. These things, if they're meant to be vertical, they won't fit on my shelf. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like
They
I
definitely
I
can
can
both
see
go
tons
horizontal.
of
I've seen
people.
photos of both.
they
Both of
they
them
can
can.
go horizontal, but the reason that they're supposed to be vertical is because they're also built in heat sinks and
Yeah.
heat
Mhm.
rises. So the
And
vertical
I
chamber
totally
helps.
get that, and I understand that because you look at some of the things. Most of the time, I think even with the PlayStation, the PS4, when they revealed it, it was vertical, right?
Mhm.
Well,
Now
the
most people
PS2
use
was
the
supposed to be vertical
horizontal.
also. Remember, this isn't new. The
Yeah.
PS2
No,
was supposed to be
I get
vertical.
it.
The 360 is also meant to be vertical. Um, and I wanted to
Before,
talk about the PS5 real quick. The design though looks eerily familiar to me. It reminds me of an Alienware a tower.
Oh yeah, man. I didn't even think about
yeah,
that.
it
You're
does.
right.
So design wise, I
It
Does
still
it
does.
don't
come
think
in
that it's
black?
terrible. It looks to me like an Alienware computer tower. So, huh?
Does it come
They
in
come in
black?
silver, white, and black. All black. You know.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
I
anyway, those are
think
Yeah,
my
I know.
thoughts on those two towers.
so. For me, I think I have to kind of give some of the same sentiments. I think it's a little bit about like just the color alone. I think this decision to make like what every other PlayStation has been black. I don't know why they decided to make this one white when Xbox has had white consoles and now this one is black because they've just stuck to that over the last two console generations. I think Microsoft is tuned into the fact that pretty much everything that you buy is a black TV or a black entertainment system. The PlayStation 5 to me is going to stand out a little bit like a sore thumb. Like I almost want
Yep.
to put it behind something. You know what I mean? So I don't have to stare at it all the darn time. But the Xbox Series X, while it's big and blocky and it is kind of weird looking, like you said, Wolfie, it looks like a PC tower. So it seems to me to fit in a little bit better. And I think that the other thing that I'm not too fond of when it comes to the PS5 is I think that they should have toned down the curves a little bit. I think it makes it look a little bit odd. I'm not saying they have to make it square like the Xbox Series X. That's also kind of jarring and weak. But I just think that the way that they kind of add angles to the PlayStation 5 makes it look a little strange. Although I will say that the white controller actually looks pretty cool compared to the Xbox
Man,
Series X controller.
that's gonna be such a disaster if you think about the hours that are gonna go on a white controller. Try
Mm-hmm.
keeping
It'll
that
be
thing
beige
white.
pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like, and the thing is, it's because like with the Xbox 360, I've had white controllers with the 360, and they turn gray and get buffed, and get marked up, and it's not gonna look pretty over time. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
I,
yeah.
I know exactly where I could put my PS5 because I have something similar that looks like it. Now that I'm looking at my setup, my router looks almost exactly
Yeah.
like this thing. It
Oh man, I
really
can't wait.
does.
I can't wait till we get to our final section because there's actually, uh, you know what? Let's
All
not talk
right.
about it, right? I mean, I don't know. I feel like we can go into that section right now, but
I'm
no, no,
telling
no,
you,
no. Let's keep that section last.
I'm
Boys,
just
what
not
do you guys
even.
think of the design? Like, what do you hate the most of the designs? Because
See,
I
here's the
feel like
thing.
it's redundant to ask like, what do you like the most? I like the Xbox
I,
Series X design. Actually, just put it out there. It's not that I don't like it. I actually really like it. I like that it looks like a tower. So, but
well, see, here's the thing. The only reason why I said Xbox Series X is because you guys said I had to pick one. But otherwise, here's just the unbridled truth. The Xbox Series X looks like it can hold like a miniature nuke inside it. Like what the hell?
that sounds
It's like a
cool.
lead. It's a lead brick
It does
box
kind of
built to hold
sound cool.
built to house like freaking radiation or something. Uh, and then if you're looking at the PS5, like I mean, at first I didn't really mind it, but then like
Then the
as I
memes
looked
came.
at it more and more, like how like it's like Walt said, we.
Let me put it to you this way: home theater people everywhere are going to hate the PS5.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
feel like
like
that's the truth. Mm-hmm.
I
Although
kind of
if you have the
wanted
digital
to like
one, you can tuck it away easy. You know.
I kind of wanted to like the PS5, but
Mm-hmm.
the thing, like you guys, I'm gonna echo what you guys said, that ultimately led me to my final decision, quote unquote, was the color. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
either someone at this table, or I don't know, I can't remember, but I seem to remember hearing either by word of mouth or even if it was a meme, that at
Mm-hmm.
some
Yeah.
point the Xbox color scheme and the PlayStation color scheme were gonna switch with one another.
Mm-hmm.
What?
I swear to God, I've
Yeah.
heard that somewhere, and to see it
That's what we
actually
got.
happen is so funny.
Mm-hmm. And the
Like,
other thing about
Yeah.
the PS5 that looks weird to me, if you guys look at the comparison between the disc version and the digital version, the disc version almost looks like it has a freaking tumor on the side where you insert the disc.
Well,
It's
it
weird
looks like
looking.
a pregnant computer, right? It has a
Yeah.
baby in it.
Yeah, like I would
It
almost
looks
get the
like a
digital
folder.
edition just for that. Yeah. I
It
mean,
looks like a
either way,
folder.
I think both systems are going to be pretty awesome, and the design is not necessarily something that I care too much about. But yeah, there's something jarring about that
I
white
gotta admit,
PS5.
I gotta admit. Here's the question that I want to ask. Like, what do you think? Do you think that the current gen designs are better than the future gen designs? I actually,
Yes.
I wasn't a big fan of the current gen designs.
I
I think I
well
like the
actually
Xbox design better than the PlayStation design. Like it's cool to have those hard edges from the PlayStation, but I felt like it's a little bit impractical for me.
a small point on that actually that we should all keep in mind is that these the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 look totally different when they first came out, and the newer versions, the Xbox
That's true.
One X and the PS4 Pro, are a little bit like smaller, a little bit nicer looking. The Xbox One X took away the power brick and put it inside the system, which makes it so much easier to deal with. And these are just the first generation designs. They're going to have like one or
Yeah,
two other
you're right.
redesigns, plus all the special edition consoles. If you're somebody that's not going to get it right away, maybe you want, I don't know, a Spider-Man version or a Last of Us version. They're going to release all that stuff too.
Right.
Maybe this is the one generation where I'll actually invest in one of the special edition consoles to see if like they're any cooler than the regular ones, to give it some personality. But who
Yeah,
knows?
maybe.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm gonna explain my reasoning. I know you guys heard before a little hint, and I'm just gonna repeat it. It looks like my old fan,
The PS5, right?
the PS5.
That is
Really?
true.
Yeah, I had a fan that used to like stick up. It looked exactly the same. Exactly. There was no difference about it whatsoever.
Like it was one of those tower fans that
Yeah.
people buy.
Right.
Ah, I know what you're
Completely.
talking about. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
Did you pick it up at Target? Do you
like a
remember where you
Dyson
got it, Walter?
fan.
I feel like I
That
know
is
exactly because I had a white tower fan that had a black center console where all the buttons were and stuff, and the buttons would light up blue.
yes,
Yes, that's
exactly.
exactly it.
Oh my god, I
Yeah,
think we had the same fan.
it's like the Dyson blades or something like that. Those ones that
Oh,
look
The
really weird
Dyson
with like the
blade
hole in
looks
the
better
middle.
than this thing.
oh,
Yeah,
dude. Yeah,
actually, the Dyson blade looks pretty cool.
yo, actually, Dyson would probably develop a dope console.
Yep,
Um,
True.
I do
you know
agree.
what? I think it's time that we move on to games. Now,
The most
obviously,
important
there's
part.
a ton of
Hmm.
games that were released and announced and stuff like that. I don't think that we should elaborate on every game that's announced, but what games are you guys most interested in, looking forward to? Obviously, we have games that we're already looking forward to this year. I know
Hmm.
Walt is waiting for his game of the year to come out so that he can
Yes,
join the so he can join
I
me and
feel so
Jose.
left out right now because Jose is getting his Last of Us Part 2 in like a
Yes.
week, right?
Yes.
Um Gabe has been playing the crap out of Final Fantasy VII remake.
That's what
What are
I'm
you on,
on
like
now.
15th the
I'm playing
15th
it now as
time
well.
through?
Honestly,
Okay.
I'm really hoping that Final Fantasy VII the remake has, even though it's obviously clearly an updated version. Um,
Ooh, a
I hope
PS5
that there
version.
I hope that there's like an updated version for the PS5. I'm
That'd be
sad that like
sick.
it's not an Xbox game that doesn't automatically have the smart delivery.
Yeah.
PS5
Um,
is
I
gonna have
still
that too,
don't
though.
have my
Some
game
games.
yet though.
no, I don't think PS5 is gonna have the smart delivery that Xbox has. That's an
They,
Xbox feature.
they haven't confirmed it across the board, but I have heard that some games are gonna do it too. Yeah, there are some games. I think it's more widespread with Xbox Series X, which is why it's an advantage.
Right.
So
But
again, you might
but
be
yeah,
right. Take that with a grain of salt.
for video
Mhm.
games. This is all about video games. This is probably
Yeah.
the part that you guys have been most waiting to hear from us.
I still
What
don't
games
have
are
my game
you?
yet though.
Ghost of
What games are
Tsushima,
you?
bro.
What games are
Don't have
you
my game yet.
guys looking forward to the most? Actually, this time I kind of want to talk to the boys. I want to ask you guys first what you guys are most interested, because I feel like again, me, Walt, and Jose have been geeking out over the games that we've played, and also the game that Walt's been waiting for. But what games are you guys most interested in or looking forward to with the Xbox Series X and the PS5? If there are any in both systems that you guys are looking forward to.
Well, I've never been the most keen on on PlayStation games. There are a few that I hold close to my heart.
Godzilla.
Hmm.
Yeah, that and God of War, obviously, which I have
Hmm.
been using the streaming service for, and it's been pretty
Cool.
awesome. Um, the only one that really stood out to me was this game I saw the trailer for, Demon Souls,
Hmm.
and it kind of
Okay.
reminded me of Skyrim, and I don't know, it was pretty interesting. But of course, the only game that I have my sights on at the moment, for the Xbox Series X at least, is the up and coming new Halo game. I don't remember what the
Oh
name is.
yes, Infinite.
Yeah, Infinite. There you go.
Halo Infinite, that's what it's called.
Yeah,
Huh.
Halo Infinite. That looks super interesting. I can't wait for that myself. I was gonna mention that one myself. I'll wait to elaborate on that when it gets to me.
Yeah,
But
I
Well,
really hope.
Demon Souls, I think, is a successor, not a sequel, but a spiritual successor to the famous Dark
It's
Souls
actually a remake.
franchise.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
It's
remake.
a remake of the original game.
oh, it's like a reimagining, I guess, and interesting.
No, because
Okay.
I think even if you go on IGN.com, they actually took the original trailer and put it side by side to the new trailer, and it is a beat for beat trailer on both of them. So and it kind of highlights the differences between the two. So I think it's just I don't think it's a reimagination. I think it's kind of like a remastered version type of thing.
okay.
Interesting, because I know that I've read the mechanics are supposed to be similar to Dark Souls. Hmm.
Either way, I just really hope that Halo Infinite does is not the same train wreck that I thought Halo 5 Guardians was.
Hmm.
I didn't think Guardians 5 was that much of a train wreck. I
I
thought it was
beg to
okay.
differ. I'm
I liked it.
sorry.
We actually uninstalled it today from the Xbox.
Ooh,
We
that's an indictment.
we've left the Halo Master Collection, but we
Yeah.
uninstalled Halo 5 just for storage purposes.
Oof,
Personally, I felt like
this.
Halo 5 was an unfinished game, but I thought that there was a lot there that was cool. I like the whole, like, I mean, it's not exactly Master Chief versus Master Chief, but I like the whole, like, spy versus spy angle to it and stuff. I
I
like
don't
that.
like that though because they essentially made Master Chief the villain, and I was not all right with that by
That's a
any stretch of
perspective
the
thing.
imagination.
That's a perspective thing.
I
They kind of see the reason I liked it. It's for the same reason that I really enjoyed um Batman Dark Knight, right? Like, or like they kind of made him the bad guy at the end, but he's not really the bad guy. They just kind of play that in the story. We know that he's not going to stay the bad guy.
A little
All
moral
right, but
complexity for
even
you.
notwithstanding that, the one
Hmm.
thing I cannot forgive is making humanoid. What did they call them? The forerunner, the forerunner machines. The Prometheans. Why,
Yeah,
why did they have to
Prometheus.
go and tamper with the Prometheans like that? You really didn't need to. They were fine as they were.
So what you're saying is that Halo 5 to you is the Rise of Skywalker of Halo games, and to you,
Oh,
Wolfie, it is
Yes.
the Last Jedi of
wow,
Yes.
Halo
Jose
wow.
games.
dropping the mic.
Please.
There you
Yes.
go.
Man,
Perfect.
Go,
I
Jose.
would not. I would not make it the Rise of Skywalker. That's a little
Last
too
Jedi.
hard.
That's your maybe that's closer to what you. It's like the Last Jedi in the
I
canon.
mean, nah, because I really like the Last Jedi. For me, the Last Jedi, everybody knows it's at least it's in the top three at the very least.
Okay.
I think it's my number two. So Halo
All
5
right.
is definitely not my number two, but I don't think that it was that bad. I liked a lot of stuff that they introduced. I didn't like a lot of stuff that they introduced, and I also think that it was more of an unfinished game than anything. There was a lot left to be desired.
Okay.
But I think Halo Infinite will be able to kind of patch that up a little bit. So,
I
Halo
hope
fans
so.
hope so.
I
Hmm.
really hope
Eli,
so.
what about you?
Yeah, Eli,
Um,
what's up?
I have two games. They're both PS4 or PS5.
Hmm.
Um, Firstly, I'm gonna start off with the PS4 one, since we're mainly talking about the PS5 today. Greymore is coming out. For those who don't know, it's
Hmm.
basically Elder Scrolls Online, but like the
Yeah.
newer,
Hmm.
yeah, a new game for Elder Scrolls
Yeah.
Online, and that's
It's actually out.
it's out.
Yeah, it came out June 10th.
What?
Wow.
So the
Oh
new
snap!
chapter in
What?
Elder
Hmm.
Scrolls
Oh damn.
available now.
Okay.
Interesting.
You know
Okay.
what's wonderful about Elder Scrolls? Those games always come out with updated like versions in the newer consoles because
Yeah.
it's so deep. What about your PS5 game?
Yeah, my PS5 game is the Returnal or Returnal. I'm really interested in this game because it's a shooter, but they do this really interesting concept of like dying, where like each time you die,
Oh, that's the
yeah,
Bethesda game.
that's the one that,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
Isn't
live,
that
die,
Deathloop?
repeat
it's live
in
die
video
repeat.
game
Yeah.
form.
I thought that was
And
Deathloop.
basically, each time you die, the world that you're on changes in some significant way, like maybe appearance or
Oh, that's two games. No, I'm sorry. Returnal is that's the one where you're on the in the space exploration, right?
yeah. And I just really like that concept, and I've seen some of the enemies that she has to fight, the main character. And I feel like the design is really awesome and really complex.
You know what it reminds me of, Eli? It reminds me of the Dead Space games,
Yeah. Yeah, I
the
have to
character
agree with that.
designs. Hmm.
And I think AJ,
Reminiscent of Dead
yeah,
Space how?
The monster designs. Some of the monster designs
yeah,
look a little
monster
bit
Oh,
like
I
design.
kind
see.
of out there, like Dead Space monster designs.
And I actually have one more. Sorry,
Hmm.
but
Oh, cool.
I, I don't remember what it's called.
Which one? Oh, Oddworld.
Oddworld. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Oh
that
yeah.
man, dude, I
that is
grew up on
looking
Oddworld. I
awesome.
love Oddworld.
Yeah, let me find you
Hmm.
the actual name of the game.
Yeah,
Called Oddworld Soulstorm.
There you go.
I honestly
Yeah,
don't know anything about Oddworld. Other than it looks awesome. It looks really dark for some reason, and I thought it
Hmm.
was
it
like,
is.
Hmm.
yeah,
They're
It's
great
not
adventure
corny.
games.
It's
it's
got
not
like it's got like
not
dark
corny.
humor. If you
But
ever
not
played
corny.
like the older
Yep.
Oddworld games, I played them. I enjoyed them. They're definitely different. They're like little kind of like I haven't seen what this new Oddworld game is going to be like, but the older games because they were on PlayStation One,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
were like side-scrolling slash platformer slash uh, puzzle games, and
Hmm.
had a really interesting story. You had like powers that involved like creating magic juju right by rubbing your hands and farting and stuff like that. So very interesting game. I thought it was one of the most inventive games I've ever played. So
I like
really
the
interesting.
trailer,
Yeah.
man. The end of the trailer is like it's actually kind of cool and kind of creepy because I guess what was his name? His name was Abe. It looks like it's Abe again in this
Yeah,
one. I'm
Abe.
not sure.
Yeah, it's Abe.
But they show him, those ropes that he has like through his nose and his mouth. They show him getting ready to cut
Yeah.
those, like
Well, he has his
something
mouth
weird.
And
sewn. He has his mouth sewn.
Yeah. They show him
yeah,
like
and
somebody character is saying like you have to have your own voice or something like that, and like you see him about to knife the ropes out of his mouth. Like there's something kind of visceral and kind of cool about that moment in the game,
Yeah.
and the graphics look amazing.
yeah, it has that creep factor. It's not fully taking over the game, the creep factor, but it has that dark, creepy, steampunky sort of
Hmm.
adventure
Yep.
sort
That's
of
you're
horror.
describing Oddworld. You're describing
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oddworld. You should definitely
Yeah,
play some of the
and
older games. I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
think you
might
would,
I
Eli.
might
Hmm.
Yeah, I think we have some of them, so
Yeah.
we'll download them. Yep,
Ooh,
we
nice.
do.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right. Me personally, I mentioned, yeah, I'm looking forward to Halo Infinite. Of course, I think it's
Hmm.
I'm really excited for that. I'm a huge Halo fan. I love this is one of the reasons why I love console launches because every single time Microsoft releases a console, they release the next Halo game. And I, who doesn't love Master Chief? But with Infinite, especially, I think because it's going to be so like such a huge game that there's going to be a lot of features that they haven't spoken about, but I know that it's going to be a completely world changing like Halo world changing game. So really excited for that. I almost feel like it might kind of be a little bit like Destiny. I know that it's not Destiny, it's not Bungie, but in that sense that like you're playing like an interactive world, traveling between planets and interacting with like different events that are happening within the game in real time, which is why it's being called Infinite, right? It's kind of like an endless game, and I believe that's the direction that they're going with that. Um, But yeah, that's something that I'm super looking forward to. I know that they're gonna bring back the focus on Master Chief during the campaign, because a lot of people were not happy about that. Um, but yeah, for the PlayStation 5, quick mention on Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Oh yes.
Really looking forward to that as well. Even though that is just an expansion.
Hmm.
No, it's
Um,
not.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
no, it
is.
No,
is.
it's not.
It's
It's an
not the
expansion.
sequel. It's not the sequel,
It's
Walt.
not a
He
But
sequel.
gave
it's not.
Wolfie is
It's not
right.
an expansion either.
Yes, it is. What?
Yeah,
No, it's not.
yes, it is.
No, it's
It's gonna
not.
be a standalone game. It's not a
It's
standalone
a.
game.
It's a. It's going to be very much like the way that they did for, oh god, what's the name of Nathan's Drakes? They had a game that was smaller in scope, and so, and this is the reason why I'm kind of a little upset with the way the PlayStation 5 event went, because when it first came out everybody thought it was a standalone game, right? And then the Sony president went and said that it's an expansion, and then the developer had to walk
Hmm.
it back in a tweet by saying it's not an expansion, it is a standalone game, but it's smaller in
Oh,
scope.
Here's the tweet
So
from
it is
Insomniac Games, Walt.
ah,
Marvel's
so actually,
Spider-Man Miles
exactly.
Morales is the next adventure in the Marvel Spider-Man universe. We will reveal more about this standalone game at a future date. So it's not
Yep.
Spider-Man 2, but you're right. Yeah,
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 it's probably more like
it's a
it's a
game.
spin-off.
It's
It's
like
a spin-off.
it's like one of those, it's one of those games that you could probably pick up for like 25-30 bucks. That's not a full game, but it's maybe like, if the real game is like 40 hours, this is probably be like 15 to 20 hours of gameplay.
it's like Last of Us Left Behind. That was a standalone game, but it was
Exactly. There
also
you go.
much shorter than the
Okay.
original Last of Us.
That's a
Well,
So yeah,
perfect analogy.
I'm
okay.
looking forward to that even more now. But the game that I'm actually most looking forward to
Hmm.
is on the PlayStation 5, which kind of sucks because I'm so much more a Xbox fan than I am a PlayStation fan. Um, but freaking Square Enix's game,
Oh,
Athia,
Athia? Yeah.
Project Athia, and that just like I saw the trailer to that. It was a very small trailer, but it just has all the elements of fantasy and lore and just like the magic, the power of controlling magic and controlling like the earth and all that stuff. And to me, I feel like this is actually a Final Fantasy game in code,
Hmm.
in secret, because it's the same team that did the Final Fantasy 15 game, which I have mixed feelings about the game. I think that the game is very beautiful. I thought there were some mechanics that I didn't enjoy,
Hmm.
but this looks wonderful, and I'm really really excited for this the world to be that they're building in Project Althea. So those are my 2.5 games, I guess.
All right. I'll jump in. I have to mention a couple of games, but you know me. I like to mention a lot of different things here, but I'm going to keep everything brief surrounding these. First of all, Walt, with PlayStation 5, Gran Turismo 7. Enough said. You
Oh,
know
you
the
stole my
battles we
you
had in
stole
that in the
my
past.
one game.
Well, you know the battles we had in that in the past. I'll let you talk a little bit more about it. Okay. Marvel's Miles
That sounds good.
Morales also, looks really, really good. I have to mention that really, really cool, really, really that looks really, really good as well. Excuse me. Um, you know what game looks the most interesting to me though, and there are definitely a couple of other PS5 games that look really interesting, like Horizon, the new Horizon Zero Dawn sequel looks really good. I haven't played the first. I heard it's amazing. I want to try it.
Yeah, it is good.
I have it. I just haven't played it yet because I got it when I got my PlayStation 4 a few weeks ago. I actually just recently bought the PS4 Pro, full disclosure, and I've been killing it on Last of Us and Final Fantasy 7 and others. Um, you guys saw that this is actually the Bethesda game, I think. I don't think it was Returnal. The Bethesda
Now,
game is called
Returnal,
Deathloop.
just to give Returnal its rightful credit, it's by House Marquee and XDev.
Yes.
So
Yes.
those
Deathloop
are
is
that.
the Bethesda game. Deathloop.
Okay.
That's I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's actually got a similar concept to Returnal. It's characters that die and like continually die again. They're stuck in a time loop. So apparently it's two rival assassins that are both stuck in this time loop where they're dying over and over and over and over again, almost like Edge of Tomorrow. They die over and over and over again, and they're both trying to break the loop. but they're just killing each other over and over again. And it's got this like really cool spy versus spy feel. Some of the gameplay looks really, really cool. The graphics look pretty incredible. Like, I don't know if you guys took a minute to take a really good look at this game, but it looks really like fun and interesting. It has a somewhat serious vibe. But we talked about this movie. I don't remember which of our podcasts we talked about this on, but it also has this kind of a stylish vibe.
Mhm.
Walt, I think you mentioned it, like that movie from back in the day, Smoking Aces. You remember that movie?
I
Okay.
love that movie.
Yeah,
It
me
has
too.
a it has a similar like kind of out there like zany action style while still remaining grounded, at least as grounded as a game about time loops can be. And I actually like the slogan for this game too. It's really cool. It says, "If at first you don't succeed, die, die again." Like, it's such a cool play on words. You know what I mean? So I'm
Actually,
actually, go ahead, Eli. Mhm.
okay, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, I did take a look at the game,
Hmm.
and it actually really reminds me of one of my favorite mangas,
Hmm.
named Kill la Kill, where it's
Oh yeah.
basically
Ah,
the same concept, where they're stuck in this like time loop, and they have to like kill like aliens, I believe.
Yeah, that's Live Die Repeat.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
then I don't even want to spoil it, but yeah, it really does remind me of that manga a lot.
dope.
So that's really probably for PS5. That's the one that hits the highest notes for me. I have to kind of mention a game that's coming out on both systems. Battlefield 6. Enough said. It's been
Of
announced for
course.
2021.
Of course.
You know it, man. You know I'm a big Battlefield fan. I'm not as much of a Call of Duty
Absolutely.
fan.
I'm
If
more
you
over the
didn't
war
mention it,
Yeah.
I was gonna come over there and figure out if you had like a temperature or something.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling a little under the weather today, but I checked my temperature and I'm good, I think. Um, but yeah, like in terms of Xbox Series X games, there's a lot to like there. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is something that stands out to me. I played the original when it came out on PC like a decade and a half ago. I never beat it, but it's a really interesting like RPG style first person shooter. So that's a very fun game. Um, Other than that, I mean, there's a lot for both systems, honestly. I'm really looking forward to both. You have your Halo Infinites and stuff like that that look really, really great. Another game, I don't really know much about it, and they didn't show any gameplay. Um, but the graphics and the design looks absolutely incredible to me. You guys have seen that game Scorn? That looks like a freaking like it basically looks like some sort of nightmarish HR Geiger or like
It's,
Cthulhu like horror game.
it's funny
If
you
you haven't.
mention it because I was
Mhm.
showing AJ an article that had that because um he's like a big alien predator type guy,
Oh
and
man.
the article says that it references Alien and Prometheus. It says it's got some serious vibes from those two movies.
Oh
So
yeah. It looks so good. I have no idea what the heck you're going to even do in terms of gameplay. So it's maybe kind of jumping the gun, I guess. But like of the Xbox Series X games that were shown, and there are definitely some beautiful, graphic games. There's beautiful games in terms of graphics. Um, and like another standout, I think was there was this game. What was it called? Sorry, I just want to mention. It's this game called Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2. There's a female protagonist. She's got like
hmm
tattoos on her face. The graphics really look impressive in that game. Or Assassin's Creed Valhalla, again another mention in terms of graphics. But this game looks truly next generation to me. Like the graphics, the way it's animated, the just the design makes it look just so much more incredible than almost anything else that I've seen on the system. And like for me, like those are the big games that I'm really looking forward to from what I've seen so far.
hey, just to mention that Scorn does have a Steam page that if you want to take a
Wow.
look at, they have a
Hmm.
couple of trailers on there. So
Beyond the original, oh yeah, I definitely got to
And it
take a
does
look at
look
that.
awesome.
yeah, it does look awesome.
I
Hmm.
believe
Hmm.
Prometheus. They have the huge stone heads.
Right?
Hmm
Dang.
I mean, it just looks really impressive to me, and I love like atmospheric games like this, and it's probably going to have an interesting narrative. It looks like something like that. So, like, I really like really games with really good narratives as well. So, if it can pull that off, and it has some intriguing and interesting gameplay, and like this level of graphical quality is maintained throughout the game, this is not just like some concept trailer. I'm all for trying that one. Hmm.
AJ's actually looking at the trailer now, and his interest is peaked. You
Ah, you
know,
see what I'm saying,
Uh,
AJ? Like, tell me those graphics don't look incredible.
Yeah, they look really good. I like
Hmm.
what they do with the like all the reds, the different shades of reds.
Hmm. Hmm. The
yeah.
browns and all of that. I'm really impressed with it.
So I guess I'll head the back of the pack on this.
Hmm.
I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I didn't see the Xbox event. Um,
Hmm.
we did see the Future of Gaming event. We saw it live on YouTube. So we got a chance to see all these things first person, right straight ahead before, we got all the reviews and all the articles and things of that nature and stuff. Um, I gotta say I'm a little underwhelmed by some of the stuff that's coming out here because um and maybe you guys maybe you guys can weigh in on this. I There were some games that graphically looked incredible, but there are some games that just didn't do it for me. I'm looking at some of these things and they didn't look, I based on all the hype of how powerful these rigs are going to be and stuff like that, I didn't see that graphical jump that I kind of expected. And I understand that we're how many generations into this, and the PS4 graphics are amazing and Xbox One X graphics are amazing, but I was kind of expecting a little wow with these
Yeah,
games, and I kind
Hmm.
of didn't get it. You know
same
what I
here.
mean? That being said, again, I was a little underwhelmed with both systems, the announcements, and it kind of leads me to think that when launch day comes, I'm probably not going to invest in either of the systems right away. I'm probably
Hmm.
going to wait until I see more of the games that come out.
Same here.
Um, yeah, the
But
game
for me,
that
it's always like the first generation. They always have issues. Red Rings of Death and stuff like that. So I'm not
yeah,
going
Eli,
for
you
it
wanted to
first.
say something?
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I really have to agree because I was kind of, I mean, at the same time, Minecraft, for Xbox One X, the shaders look good and all, but I
Hmm.
gotta tell you, I've seen better shaders than that. I've
Hmm.
actually seen better shaders than that. Like, I know Optifine, I believe, that's a shader, and it works really well for the PC. And I know it's the PC and all, but like, it's Xbox One X, and you're telling me that's I don't want to be like I don't want to take
Be
it
that.
away. I
Be
don't
that. Do it. Say it.
Yeah, but I
Come
don't
on.
want to take it away from its glory. Like I know
Well,
it's good and
if
all,
it's
but
not that
that's
glorious to you, you're totally
yeah,
allowed to say that.
it was
Yeah.
underwhelming, very.
Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't find anything that was like super blown away by. I mean, I liked the announcement of Miles Morales, but again, and I was kind of it was one of these things where there was really not a lot of details given, so it left that ambiguity, and people are just like we had just a couple of minutes ago, where it's like, is it a standalone? Is it an expansion? Is it by itself? We didn't get a sense of any of that from the event, right? I did like the reveal of Gran Turismo 7.
Hmm.
Uh, but again, it's a car game, and we've kind of seen that with previous games, Gran Turismo,
Hmm.
um, Forza Horizon, and Forza in general, and stuff like that. Nothing super spectacular about it. Um, the Xbox, there's really nothing that you know really stands out. I mean, you do have your Halo games, and I get that. That's pretty awesome. Scorn looks pretty good, but it's not something that I feel like it's one of these games that I have to rush out and get right away. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
We don't know much about it. It's
And
true.
again, that's just my opinion. You know, I love Gran Turismo. I will get that when I get the PS5. I love Spider-Man Miles Morales. I will get that when it comes out for PS5. When the Xbox Series X comes out, I'll probably get that. I'll probably get Halo Infinite. Um, I do like the interesting thing that we haven't mentioned yet, that everybody that buys a PS5s gets Grand Theft Auto 5 for free.
If you already
Um,
own Grand Theft Auto
Hey,
5, you have
yeah,
to already
you
have
know,
the see. That's
so
like
so you
again,
get that.
it's kind of like
Yeah,
the delivery
exactly. It's
system.
like that
Hmm.
Xbox thing where it's like if you have the game, you'll get the newer version automatically.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
and if you're on, I believe they also said that if you from now until the game and the system releases, you get like $1 million in Gran Turismo. I mean, Grand Theft Auto dollars in the game and stuff.
Like every day or every week or something
Yeah,
crazy like
something
that
like that.
for
But
GTA Online, I think.
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
But again, it to me, and again, and maybe this is a product of the fact that we're in quarantine and COVID-19, and they can't do these flashy presentations and stuff. But I there was nothing super exciting for me
Hmm.
with the announcements. Like I said, there are some games that are really cool, you know, and I think the more exciting part about it is that the PS5 supposedly is going to focus more on the single player experience.
Just like PS4.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, which is something that I think is lost in this generation. A lot of this generation with the Xbox One and the PS4 is that there was this huge push for multiplayer games. And I'm
I
not
think
really
that's
a
more
multiplayer
Xbox
game type of
than
guy.
PlayStation because PlayStation had a lot more single player exclusives that were pretty big.
Right.
I think that's
Exactly.
gonna be the focus for PS5 also. That's tended to be their focus, I feel like, for the last two console generations.
Yep. But if you look at the PS5, a lot of the games that are on there, they're timed exclusives. They're not exclusive to the platform. So eventually, if you have the PS5, you'll get it first, but eventually it's going to the Xbox anyway.
Even
So,
Final Fantasy VII Remake is rumored to be coming to PC and Xbox.
exactly. So you kind of lose the fact that you're getting something exclusive. Now, PlayStation does have better, in my opinion, better first party games, better
Hmm.
exclusive games to their systems.
I agree.
But the Xbox experience is pretty amazing also, They make everything seamless for them. So, but there's nothing there that's going to drive me to go out and get it day of launch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm
For
not gonna
me,
lie.
it's kind of sorry. Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to echo that sentiment. Like, and it's something I like. I know. Here's the thing. I can be a little hard to budge when it comes to getting into new games,
That
but
is
like,
so true.
Yes,
Mhm.
very.
but
Sorry.
something that I always find difficult is that normally when these new consoles are introduced, it's not enough to really gauge that I need to get this now. Because I mean, again, granted, you have games like Scorn that look good, and that's really new. But like, I don't know. I need a little more. I need a little more of a pull.
Yeah, I mean, like
I
like some
agree.
of the games that they announced, Horizon Forbidden West. The first Horizon is amazing, but it's not like one of these seminal games like a Last of Us, Jose,
Hmm.
where it's like, oh, I've got to drop everything to get the new Horizon game. You know what I mean? Um, there's nothing in the slate currently that makes me say, "Oh, I've got to drop everything and get me a PS5, or I got to drop everything and get me a Series X game." I think the games are coming, but there's nothing in launch, and this is a symptom of like the last couple of generations. Also, it's not exclusive just to this coming up, but that's just my opinion on that.
I feel like the games trailers and you, everybody should know, everybody knows this, but the trailers don't do justice, and I
Hmm.
think that might be what's going on here.
It could be.
Yeah,
It could
it's
be,
part of it. I
right?
think. Hmm.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I don't know if it's maybe part of the whole COVID-19 that you can't really go out and do a an Apple style presentation, and I hate to go back to them, but when it comes to presenting presentations and gearing up excitement, they're really good at doing that. And like I said, I don't know if it's because we've been quarantined and we can't have those type of presentations to get me excited for these type of things, but it, like I said, we were watching it, and it was just trailer after trailer, and there was nothing really speaking to it. And then at the very end of the event, you had the quick PS5 reveal, and then nothing else. And there wasn't a keynote speaker. There wasn't, somebody that came out and said, these are going to be the things. They just gave you
Yeah,
that video, and then that was it. And
yeah,
even
yeah.
to this point, we still don't know price. We still don't know the exact release date. There's a lot of the features of the PS5, like we know some stuff for the Series X. We've outlined that at the very beginning of this podcast. We don't have that for the PS5.
Well,
And so that's the great unknown. You know what I mean?
Well, there is something that we do have. Oh, Eli, go on.
oh, sorry, but some people have it's a prediction, but some people have made the prediction of $499.
That's
That's
expensive for a
That is
console.
very expensive. It's two times the PlayStation 4. Am I right?
not when it came
Well, the
out. When it
No,
came
PlayStation
out, it
when it,
4
when
was
the
was
that
when the
price.
PlayStation 4 came out, it was $399.
I actually think I've heard a rumor that it's going to be 600. So imagine
I
that.
think that
that's even
there's
insane.
yeah. I mean, the one thing is you do need to take into consideration that we're talking about what is it, 8 years of inflation. So it's
True.
not
Yeah.
That's
too out
true,
of this
but
world. It's 8 years of
let's
inflation and hardware that really is next gen hardware. You know,
yeah, you're getting like a
so
full. Some of these rigs are basically really high end PCs,
yeah,
especially the
Yeah.
exactly.
Xbox.
Yeah,
Like current
yeah. I
PCs,
mean,
basically.
Things like that.
I basically have in my PC pretty much almost all the specs that the Series X is gonna have, with the exception of obviously a custom piece, a custom CPU and custom GPU. Outside of that, I pretty much have the same system, and I love my PC, but I also know that the custom CPU and the custom GPU is still gonna blow out of the water what I have, and I run games at 144 hertz on the screen with no latency, and it's kind of my main, you know, gaming when it comes to like certain, story mode games and stuff like that. But yeah,
So
one thing that
let
I
me
will say, huh? Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
No, no,
No, no, no. Go
continue,
on.
please.
Ask away. Ask away.
Okay, one thing I do want to ask, and I'm gonna open this up to all of you guys. You know what I'm saying? Um, when launch day comes, are you gonna be waiting outside a GameStop or a Best Buy to get these things?
No.
Well, no,
No.
because I'm
And
probably gonna Amazon
no.
Prime it. So.
No. Let
uh,
me tell you.
We
I'm sorry.
are.
No, but I mean, let's look at it this way. And again, it's kind of because of the situation that we find ourselves in globally and stuff like that. The economy's in shambles, right? And holiday season is coming really really quickly. How are you going to market? And again, we don't know the price, but we're speculating, right? How in the world are you going to market a console for $600 the way that the economy is now?
well,
I can
It's
answer
well,
hard
that.
to
I
do
can
it
answer that.
before.
I can answer that.
I think I can answer
No,
You
too.
can't
Go
go
ahead.
outside anymore because you'll die. So you need something to
No, no, no,
entertain you
no.
at home.
That is
yeah, but
true, but
if you
hold on, hold on. There is
if
one very key factor that you're forgetting, and
Yeah.
it's that consoles don't make money until the third or fourth year of its life, the actual physical console.
no
So
doubt,
they don't
no
they
doubt.
don't care they don't care about
Yeah.
producing the console and then
They sell it at a
even
loss.
sitting on the shelf necessarily, even if it's for a little while. Now, that being said, because of COVID, while the release date isn't going to be impacted, supply is impacted. Sony did say that like their production is has slowed down, although the release date isn't going to be impacted. But that works to their benefit, right? Because the lower supply they have, the higher demand that they're going to have for it on a console that they're already going to lose money anyway. So it's better
And
for them to not have that much.
there are people that will forego getting basic supplies and needs to get a PlayStation, right?
Oh, absolutely, because I've done so
We've
too
seen
before.
that.
But I am most likely going to be pre-ordering the Series X if possible through Amazon Prime. You know, that's the console that I'm probably going to choose just because none of the
I'm
games
going to
on
your house to play
PlayStation.
that.
I can totally bring the console over and we can do like a podcast, playthrough, unboxing the whole nine. But
Oh, that'll
there's
work.
You
no
do a video
games.
unboxing.
There's no games on the
Gabe, my
PlayStation
my
5
my
that.
my home is open to you. Bring it over.
It's never
No,
open to you
listen,
otherwise. Okay. Go
listen.
ahead.
But the PlayStation 5 doesn't have any games at launch that intrigue me.
Hmm.
That make me like, hey, I need to buy this game. But Halo is always going to be a must-play on launch game for me. And Halo always launches with the Xbox, so that's kind of where I'm at.
Well,
Do we
I
know how
always get
far
the Series
along
X.
they are with the actual production
Well, they said
of
it's it, they s-
Halo?
well they said it's absolutely a launch title.
launch.
So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
supposed to be a
and
launch title.
that's their whole thing. Halo, since the first Xbox, Halo is the console mover for them.
Hmm.
So
Everyone has had a Halo title launch with it, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah. The
So,
360 had the Halo 3. The Xbox One had Halo 4. And now this one with Halo Infinite.
well,
So
I guess except for the original Halo, that wasn't a launch title, I don't
no, yeah, it
think.
was.
It
Yep.
was. Oh yeah, that's right. It was. It was.
Combat Evolved. Halo Combat Evolved. Yep, that was the game that was. And it's so funny because Halo is supposed to be was originally supposed to be a Mac game, a Mac exclusive.
Hmm.
So
Crazy. Jose,
So
are you gonna
anyway,
go? Are you gonna go get one of these consoles on launch day?
no, like I mentioned before, uh, I've experienced it before when I had an Xbox. When I had my original, not my original Xbox, was it my Xbox 360? Yeah, it
The
was my
Ring of
360.
Death.
I got two red rings of death. I had two
Oh, I
systems
only
break
had
down on me.
one, I think.
Okay.
Actually, no, you're right. I had two because I had three of the consoles. Two of them died on me. You're right.
that's so far long ago. Come on now.
But you know what? Like, it's actually interesting because it's a slightly funny story. The first one broke on me, and then I replaced it. When the second one broke on me, it was sitting in my closet, and like, long story short, I had two female roommates at the time in a three-bedroom apartment. One of their roommates ended up being like a freaking drug addict, and he stole a bunch of my stuff from my room. One of my roommates' boyfriends. He stole a bunch of stuff from my room. We actually ended up catching him in it because my TV was at a pawn shop nearby. But he stole a broken Xbox. I'm like, you're gonna go to prison for stealing broken stuff, dude? Like, how stupid do you have to be? But like, that's notwithstanding. That's another story. For me, like, I don't want to get it in for as soon as it comes out. Not only because I'm afraid that the system's going to break down, because it probably will. That's what's happened to every single generation. The first manufacturing run of every single system, including PlayStation, has huge issues. But it's not just that. Uh, for me, like, also, it's kind of timing of when I purchased my most recent systems. I've been thinking of getting an Xbox One X. I still have the original Xbox. Okay. I had been thinking of getting an Xbox One X. I'm not even going to do that anymore because I got the PS4 Pro. That's my 4K system, right? I just got that, like I said, a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, I guess. So for me, not only am I going to skip out on it initially because of also what you guys had said, where mostly there's some really good games on there, but I'm not like chomping at the bit to play these games immediately, but also because I have a lot of PS4 and Xbox One games that I got to finish. So I want to go back and finish those. And then when I have a clean slate and I want to get to some new games, probably, I mean, my birthday is in April. I'll probably end up getting an Xbox One or an Xbox Series X sometime around April of next year. Give it a few months to get through a few manufacturing runs. And for me, since I just got a PS4 Pro, I feel like the PS5, maybe I'll get it like next holiday season, 2021 or something like that. I'm in no huge rush to get either of these next generation consoles, even if I'm excited about them. Now that could change. Obviously, maybe something will come out like that I didn't see coming. Something will be announced that I didn't see coming, and that'll change my mind entirely. But for now, I'm going to try to be a little bit more patient and wait for more games to come out, wait for the hardware to get a little bit better, and finish some of my freaking games that I have not finished, like Fallout 4 and like all this other stuff. There's
Yeah,
so many games that I haven't completed.
You went nuts quarantine shopping when it came to the PS4.
Yeah.
Yes, I did, dude. I mean, I think I got about 20 games, something like that in
Dude,
the end.
seriously?
Yeah, if not more. Yeah, but they were all like discounted. Really, they were all a bunch of old games. The only new ones I bought, I think, were Final Fantasy VII Remake, um, and I think I got Spider Man. Spider Man, I got the Game of the Year edition, so I bought that brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the games that I bought were really discounted, so I got a lot of games for $10, $15, $20. So I spent a lot of money on all this, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I haven't really spent that much money on anything ever in my life. I bought myself those gifts for my birthday, and like I said, I figure um, all we can do for the most part is be inside right now. Like even my girlfriend plays video games with me sometimes. But I want to make a quick prediction, and then I want to stop ranting so damn much. I'm this is an out there prediction. I don't know that it's going to happen, but like I feel like we're going to get a Sonic the Hedgehog situation with these consoles. Let me explain what I mean. I think when they announce those prices, people are going to freak out. If especially if they're $600, people are going to freak the f out and say, "Well, I'm not buying a console for $600." Like that, like dude, I have to like we talked about like foregoing basic necessities and food and stuff like that for video game systems. But right now, it's almost like a matter of life and death if you make that choice. Like, do I want a $600 video game system or groceries for a month?
And you also
So
have to remember it's $600 plus controllers plus games.
games, mm-hmm,
Could
mm-hmm,
easily be dropping close to
exactly.
$1,000 on just one system. And most of the time, I don't know about you guys, but we're a two console household, right?
Yeah,
How
there's
do you justify when
$1,500 or
use
something.
my situation, family four, and drop $2,000 on consoles? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think there's going to be a backlash. I think if they get it up to that $600 mark, Twitter is going to go berserk, and I think they're going to back off those prices a little bit. It's an out there prediction, but let's see what happens. And that's
Actually,
my opinion. Mhm.
I think that that's definitely going to happen because one of the main things that was on the expectations from gamers was like the main thing. I think
Mhm.
it was like people wanted a better price, and this is not a fair price. So
Well, I mean,
Those are Neo Geo prices, bro.
not really a matter of whether it's a fair price or not, because like Gabe mentioned a while back, you are getting high quality, high end hardware,
Yeah.
but the question is, are you willing to spend it to get it?
And people are blowing $1,000 on an iPhone every year, so maybe they will. I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what? Even with that, you're starting to see people slow, because before, when phones were subsidized, people would change every year. Now that the subsidies have gone away from the carrier level, people are waiting 2 years or more to replace their phones now. So
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of people will go and pay $1,000, but they're not doing it every year anymore. Now they're waiting 2 or 3 years before they go and make that investment. I'm one of those people. I used to change my phone every freaking year, sometimes
Yeah.
twice a year, especially
Mhm.
when you had it subsidized. Now that if you want to get a really good phone, you're spending 1,200. That it gives you pause. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've
There's a
actually had, within the last couple of years, missed out on launches on the iPhone because it's just too damn expensive.
Yep, I agree. Oh man, I'm
Um.
sorry. Can I make one more mention of a game that I totally forgot about? I hate to
Go
throw
for
it
it.
back, but I've been getting more excited about a series that I haven't really played the last few games. I think I'm going to revisit it. And again, it's a game I know nothing about, so I'll just make a brief mention of it. Village, the Resident Evil game. I'm curious about it. Resident Evil's always been
That
a
looks
AAA
interesting.
title, but like that's just a brief mention. Like I said, we can move on to the topic again, but it just popped into my head. Uh,
All
Well,
right.
so there's we've talked about everything here, but I know that we like when we're talking about the pricing and stuff, we haven't gotten that information, but there is something that we did get from Sony, and that's a whole lot of memes. Uh,
mhm.
That is a
uh
yeah,
that is a good segue, man.
I've
Yeah.
been waiting for that one
That is
the
awesome.
entire whole day rant.
Smooth like butter,
um,
baby.
Uh, yeah, so yeah, we got a ton of segues. I'm just gonna personally say that my favorites, well, not segues, but a bunch of memes. My favorite PlayStation meme. It's funny because I haven't seen any Xbox Series X memes, but my favorite PS5 console meme is actually many of you may not realize or know this. Anime. I know that AJ does, and some of you guys here do know it. But on from Evangelion, there is a
Yeah.
meme of the production model Avas,
Oh.
and it just those Avas are so like terrifying and traumatic, such a
Love
traumatic
those.
experience. But I almost feel like one thing that I want to say is I almost feel like all these memes, what they did was kind of highlight a missed opportunity by PlayStation. I feel like if PlayStation created OLED OLED kind of panels all around it, you could theoretically just upload themes to the PlayStation and change the surface of the PlayStation.
Oh,
Through
like a
I
water
think that'd
cooled
be
PC
really
or
cool.
something.
You know what I mean? That would be
That
dope.
would actually make the PlayStation 5 a little bit more bearable.
It would be
Yeah.
amazing though, because it would be like, hey, like I want this theme, I want that theme. You can, when a game launches, like let's say a huge event like Spider-Man launches,
Ooh,
all systems, for that day on launch day get updated to Spider-Man. Or
that's
let's say
true.
when you download, you set the game to download, you'll know that the game finished downloading and installing when your system changes its theme to Spider-Man or something like that.
Yeah,
Like
I mean the
Spider.
controller does it. Why can't the system do it? That's right.
So
PS4 does it. And plus you can have a really cool rave if you have a system that like changes color like that, man.
yeah, I think that'd be super. Anyway,
All right.
that
Let
was my
me.
little thing. So take it away with the memes, guys.
So, um, I have a feeling we've done this once before, many, many moons ago, under a different alias.
Hmm.
But let's
Yeah.
count this as the first Get Geek
Meme
Memes
review.
Corner
Meme review.
edition.
Hmm.
Meme review.
Yes, meme review, the meme corner. That's what it's
Meme
called.
review.
Meme corner. Anyway, so what we're going to be doing is as I go through these 1 to 5, we're going to be sending it into the group chat that we have. What? What do you do? Yeah. So, and I just want to see what your reactions are.
Okay.
'Cause I don't know if you
Okay.
guys have necessarily seen these yet, but so the first one that we have picked out at number 5, because we ranked them 1 through 5, is the do-it-yourself PS5.
Do it yourself PS5.
What does that look like?
Makeshift.
So the
Oh yeah.
do-it-yourself PS5 is a very high-end piece of technology. You'll notice that on this beautiful device, uh, it's an air conditioner. Looks like an air conditioner,
With
and no,
That's a router.
okay, a
yeah,
router,
that's a
kind of
router.
like what
That's
Walt
like
was saying
that's like
earlier.
the router that we have.
So it's a router surrounded by 2 envelopes, and you can tell it's very high end because if this thing ever has an electrical shortage, it'll just light on fire. And everyone knows insurance always has you covered. State
Allstate.
Farm.
Wait, what?
Wait,
Wait,
did
you
you
have
guys
State
see
Farm?
there?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Anyway, uh,
There's a similar meme to that one. I just have to point out. There's one where they have the Wii in between two pieces of paper, like the Wii just standing up and two pieces of paper on the sides of it. I'll send you this article that I'm looking at. It looks amazing.
all
Go
right,
ahead,
take
guys.
it away, Eli, with number 4.
Okay, so the fourth one is for all of those Halo fans. Since we are geekdom, um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, I think I should just read. I'm gonna read this. Okay, so this is what Sony says: make the PS5 look crappy. Reddit makes memes about it. Sony now has free advertisements. Reddit, and just so
It
you
shows
know,
them.
this is the scene from I think it was
It's a very famous internet YouTube series known as Red
Mm-hmm.
versus Blue.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I grew up on.
Yeah.
So take it away.
And
What
it
does it say?
states, "We've been tricked, we've been backstabbed, and we've been quite possibly bamboozled."
All of these
Oh,
memes will
man.
go up on Instagram, by the way.
Yeah, I
once-
was just gonna say that. All right. At number 3, ah man, if we had our good old ASAP Balrog with us, he would
Yeah.
have really enjoyed this one. We have the PS5 of Sauron.
PS5 of Sauron.
Not the Tower of Sauron, the PS5 of Sauron. Yeah, take a look at that.
There it is.
Hold it in all its glory.
Don't worry, I'm continuing to send you guys some as well while we're on this. Go ahead.
And you really just can't unsee it. Like the way the two I don't know what you call those. They look like the antenna that hold the eye in place. It's just so fitting. Like this is high culture memes right here.
Yeah. Point.
All right.
All right. Eli, what's our number 2?
Our number 2 is it's a picture of the Rebel helmet from Star Wars, except the helmet is replaced with the PS4 controller, the PS5 controller.
Hmm. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
Put that one up as well.
So
Where-
let me actually send that to y'all right now.
Yeah.
'cause I literally had the brain fart that he had it, but in actuality I had it. So jokes on
There's
me.
really no other way to explain it. You just have to look at the picture. That's it.
It does it so much more justice. I mean,
Yeah.
look at this. Look at this.
Let's see.
Like it's just so he looks so.
I actually like the PS5 controller, but that does look right.
The rebel he's about to shoot down a stormtrooper. Like this is just so great.
This is from A New Hope, I think, isn't it? I think this is from the shootout scene in the first scene with Darth Vader, basically.
Mhm.
Oh
And
man.
finally, at number 1,
Oh no.
we were gonna include Cell on this list, but we kind of found something a little better.
Yeah.
Um, this one personally made me crack up. Like, for how long when I first saw it? It was just the best thing ever. And at number 1,
Mhm.
we have the Pope.
The Pope.
That is just
What?
wrong.
Oh no, I can see this one already. Yeah, I see it in my mind's eye.
That's
Here it
wrong.
comes. Here it comes.
There it is.
Oh my god. That's even bigger than the Pope's standard hat. Plus, look, it has the disc bulge on the side. It has that tumor where the Blu-ray drive is.
It just
Oh my
doesn't get any better than
goodness.
this. How does this not make number 1? Like,
Oh.
oh man. Well, that was it
That's
for the
good.
meme corner today. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be posting these on Instagram as soon as possible.
I just have to mention my favorite meme very quickly. There's an Xbox Series X meme here also that I want to send to you guys. It's really offensive, but like it's really actually kind of what it looks like. But I sent this one to you guys. I really, really loved the PS4 versus PS5 meme. They have two cosplayers. There's a guy who looks like the PS4. He's dressed up like Darth Vader. And then you have the PS5 Darth Vader. He's got white armor on. He's got like purple a purple boa. Like it's almost like a pimp Darth Vader. And that's the
Yeah,
PS5 version of Darth Vader.
I found it.
Oh man. And then for the Xbox Series X, there's a couple of honorable mentions for me. There's this one here that I'll send to you right now, and you can let it speak for itself. I think this is pretty and fantastic, and I think it illustrates how clunky the Xbox Series X also is. It's basically the Xbox Series X is the base of a circular glass table. So that's
And
kind of what it looks like to me.
it has the original leak design for the PlayStation 5 on top of it.
Yep. And there's another one here. Let me grab it up that I think is a very, very. Oh no, there's an. Wait, where did it go? Where did it go? Sorry, guys. Just bear with me for 1 second because this is an even better one in my opinion. And you would have to know a specific movie. Oh wait, I'll send you this one real quick actually too because this is entertaining and this definitely is something else that looks like the Series X. This meme basically has the Series X as a refrigerator in a kitchen. So there's that one.
Yeah, I've seen that one. That one was good too.
But
And you know the funny
one,
thing about it doesn't look out of place.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Like you could. That's actually a cool looking refrigerator. But here's my favorite one of all that I've seen thus far. And you would have to know the movie. Walt, you probably know this movie. I don't know if Eli and AJ would know it because it's an older movie. But here you go. Take a look at that one.
Oh, this is Space Odyssey.
Space Odyssey 2001 is the scene where the apes are leaping around the obelisk at the end and they're kind of worshiping it, but instead of the obelisk at the end of Space Odyssey, it's the Xbox Series X like sitting there right in the middle and the apes jumping around like exploring it. I think that's a pretty awesome meme as well. But that does it for me.
This is an awesome meme review, bro.
Oh man, we'll post all of these for sure.
The way these pictures align, it looks like one big pillar.
Yeah.
In the group chat.
It's perfect. It's perfect. I love it. Oh man.
I'm gonna add one more to this discussion, and that this kind of leads back to the one that I was talking about earlier with that movie. Let me just send it to you so that you guys can discuss. But it's that.
Oh man. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, the Fifth Element. So it looks like one of those things where you just have to trigger it
and the controller looks like the taxi.
It's like something I'd find in Minecraft.
Yeah. It does look like that too. Oh man. Meme corner.
So all right. I think we've had our fun with these consoles at their expense and stuff.
All right. We're still gonna get them both again, most likely, unless something changes between now and then. So eventually, we'll be owners of both consoles this coming generation. Yeah, I wonder when Nintendo's going to announce their next console. We'll see.
But you know what? They're not really in this discussion because I think they've already realized they're not going to be able to compete on a hardware level.
Yeah. But they always have great gimmicks.
Yeah, they have a niche and they excel at that, and they're going to stay in that space.
Oh yeah, I'm not thinking about the competition so much as I'm just curious to see like what they're going to bring to the table that's new, because you had the Wii with the motion controls, and then you had the next generation of the Wii that had the removable controller that you can take portable with you, the Switch. So yeah. I want to see if they do something cool and interesting like that with this upcoming generation, but we'll see. We'll see. Yep. Anyways, with that, that's going to end our podcast for this week. We hope you've had a chance to listen to some of our most recent podcasts, including last week. We did our Geek Out. We had a podcast recently where we discussed the state of affairs in the world, and we had our most recent podcast with the Snyder Cut of Justice League and what we thought about that. Go back and give that a listen, guys. And, as I mentioned at the beginning of podcast, thank you for those of us who bore with us or bared with us. With any kind of sound quality issues. If you got all the way to the end, we do thank you for bearing with it. And again, the best way to support us is to like, rate, share, subscribe. Check us out on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever your favorite podcasts are sold. We're always looking for feedback, so let us know what you think. And again, like, rate, share, and subscribe if you think that more people deserve to hear our somewhat crazy and varied opinions. So that's going to do it. Thanks very much for all of y'all out there who joined us once again this week on the Get Geek podcast. And you know what I say every single week, as always. Stay geeky, my friends.